What's Lachatzeinu? Lachatz, they translate our oppression. What is that? So look at the Chazal. Zu hadechak. What's to be dochek? You know, there comes, it's what, you're basically at the point of no return. It's like you're pushed over the cliff. You're familiar with a famous medrash that talks about the Jews had come almost to the point they were in the Memtes Sharei Tuma. Right? Everyone's familiar with that medrash? What does that mean? What it means is, see, I'll give an example, and this is something that came up in the OU in our marital survey. The effect of financial pressure on a marriage. I'm using this as an analogy. One thing the psychologists have demonstrated and shown to us that we know from our Chazal, that is what? The human being has this tremendous ability to respond almost to a nuclear bomb, to a knockout punch. A human being can take a hit that you wouldn't imagine a human being can take, and we can rebound from it. Terrible, terrible events. And the proof is, look at the survivors. And the proof is, look at the families who suffered under the terror of the Palestinians, who suffered under the oppression of the Arab nations around us. And look at how the families seem to have been destroyed irrevocably, and people have the ability to rebuild their lives. But you know what a marriage, or for that matter, the individual human psyche, and it's not just on an individual family level, it's on a national level as well. What you can't take is chronic pressure. Chronic, never-ending pressure. If the finances are always there, year after year, decade after decade, that marriage is not going to survive. Where it's every year, what are we going to do for the tuitions? How are we going to put food on the table? How are we going to clothe the kids? How are we going to make the mortgage payment? They're going to shut off the gas. They're going to shut off the telephone. Chronic pressure is not something that people can survive. That's the lachatz. It was never ending. It didn't stop. And there came to a certain point where the Jews couldn't take it anymore. They could convince themselves that when there'll be a new administration, things will get better, and they could withstand the unbearable. And you know what? When it is a new administration and nothing changes, there comes a certain point where it just breaks you. Not just referring to the individual family. It's talking about the nature of a nation. And by the way, we all know nations like this who've gone by the wayside because of these chronic problems. That's the chak. That's the lachatz. Hashem saw that there won't be a Jewish people to redeem. There's not going to be an Am Yisrael left to redeem, to take out of Mitzrayim, because they'll become so assimilated that there'll be nothing left. That's Vayaris Lachatzeinu, Zuadcha Kemoshe Ne'amar. V'gamra isias alachatz. Not only did I hear what they prayed, but I saw the lachatz of what the effect of decades and decades of Egyptian oppression have done to them. Asher Mitzrayim lo chatzimosam. The fourth and final verse of the Arami Oved Avi. Vayotzienu Hashem mi Mitzrayim. Hashem extricated us from Mitzrayim. Biyad chazakah, with a strong hand. What is a strong hand? We know that there's no such thing as a strong hand. God doesn't have hands. Zro netuyah. What is an outstretched arm? Bono Shalom doesn't have arms. What's the image there? Uva mora gadol. What's this great mora, this great awesomeness? Uva osos, uva mosim. Signs and wonders. What are they? So again, each of these phrases is analyzed by Chazal. Vayotzeinu Hashem mi Mitzrayim. Lo ayadei malach, right? The famous, we're familiar with this, turning over the page to 36 for those of you who are here at the Shir. It wasn't through a messenger. It's Hashem, the Yud Kei Vav Kei, the Midas Harachimim himself, Hashem himself, Bichvodo Va'atzmo. No one should say it was Moshe, they shouldn't deify Moshe. It was Hashem. Lo ayadei saraf, lo ayadei shliach. It wasn't through standard providence. Angels, as the Rambam says in the second chelek of the Moreh Nevuchim, are these divine intelligences. For instance, Raphael, the laws of medicine. That's Hashem's vehicle of healing someone, are the laws of medicine. No. It wasn't through the providential system of a malach. Oh, no. It was clear, it was blatant, it was obvious. No one could make no mistake. No one should be confused. This is the Ribono Sh'olam. Now, by the way, the Hashem says in Parag Gimel of Sefer Shmos, "Va'ereid lahatzilo." He tells Moshe, "I'm going to go down to save this people from Egypt, to save the Jewish nation." It's a yerida, the Medrash says. It's a yerida. Hashem created a perfect world. He created a world of physics, of chemistry, of meteorology, of biology that should run by itself. Hashem created a beautiful world. It's only when we follow up that world, we the human beings who corrupt and pervert the world, does Hashem have to interfere. Does he have to change things? And that's what happened here. It was Hashem bichvodo va'atzmo. No one could deny it. Ela Kadosh Baruch Hu bichvodo va'atzmo. Shenamar va'avarti. It's I, Hashem, who passed through Mitzrayim b'layla zavikesi. It is I, Hashem, who smote it. It wasn't through an army. It wasn't through a plague. It was me, Hashem. Etc., etc. Ani velo malach v'hikesi kol b'chor ben Mitzrayim. Ani velo saraf uv'chol elokei Mitzrayim. There was a specific judgment done not just to the firstborns, to the leadership of the Jewish people, of the Egyptian people, the firstborns, but to their gods. It was I, Shvatim, who imposed justice and destroyed their gods. Ani velo shaliach, ani Hashem, ani hu velo acher. What's the Yad Chazakah? Zu dever. What you know dever is? It was a disease that killed the animals. Why is this so important? Of all the makos, this is the knockout punch? You know, wouldn't you think it would be makas bechoros? So you have to understand, until dever was the fifth plague. Until dever, everything that was done, it was a terrible nuisance. It was terribly frustrating and difficult for the Mitzrim. But you know what? You can survive all of that. You know why Dever destroyed the economy? It was literally a Yad Chazakah. In English, you know what Yad Chazakah in English is? A knockout punch. You know why? Because if the crops get destroyed this year, so you know what happens? It's terrible. There's no crops, but there's stuff in the storehouse. And you know what? In a year from now, we'll produce a new crop. That can't be the case when the disease kills the large animals. You know what it takes to get a horse to be the size of a horse that's a workhorse? Or a camel to be the size of a camel that can go on long distance trips, not just a short trip? Or a cow to be a cow? Or a bull to be the bull, the kind of ox that you need to run the economy? It takes between 3.5 and 5 years. When Dever came, it's not just a terrible, terrible year. It destroyed everything for the next 3 to 5 years. An economy can't handle that. You can't have an economy that is destroyed for 3 to 5 years, where the primary sector of the economy isn't going to exist. That's what Dever did. That's why Chazal understood it as the knockout punch, as the Yad Chazakah.